Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. It is your girl, Saran. We are back with another empowering episode of going from chaos to calm with your finances. Chaos being can't handle any obstacle sent to calm, control, abundance, legacy creation, and money mastery. We are here to help you unblock your path to wealth. We help you dig deep into the spiritual, mental, and physical of your finances and your well being so that you can have the life you deserve, so that you can have the life that you have always dreamed of because your finances are in a state of calm where you can get things done. I'm your girl, Saran. I'm your guide on this incredible journey to cultivate the abundance mindset and to help you to revolutionize yourself with this money. But it's not just me talking to you. I want to hear from you. So say something to us. Let us know in the chat if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. Be sure to hit like and share. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can get notifications every time we go live or we have an event so that you can get this information. So again, don't be shy. And don't forget to go to JourneySaran.com if you want to join a community of women, of like-minded women and wealth creators that are going to bring calm to their finances and unblock their paths to wealth. So let's get ready to shift your finances from chaos to calm right now. But before we get started, you know how we do every Monday. We always have an affirmation. And this week's affirmation is a little bit long. I'm going to put it in the chat for you. But this week's affirmation is I am committed to my financial growth and security by investing wisely and taking consistent actions today. I am building a prosperous and secure future for myself. All right, I'm going to put that in the chat for you real quick so you have it. Again, this is going to be a game-changing affirmation for you this week because at the end of the day, you want to change your life financially. And what you can do with this, what are you going to do with this affirmation? You say, Saran? I want you to say it to yourself 30 times. Write it down on a piece of paper. Put it in your bathroom. So when you get up in the morning, you can do it while you're putting your makeup on, you're brushing your teeth, but you want to repeat positive things to yourself every day in order to reprogram your mindset because your mindset is your greatest wealth creator. So I want to close something out before I bring on our amazing guest today. We started a series about 4 weeks ago called the top 5 mistakes that women make with their finances. And so today I want to make sure that I close that conversation out for you. And we're going to talk about the 5th and final mistake that women make with their money. And would you believe that so many women make this mistake and they wouldn't even think that it was a mistake? But that mistake is basically you are not investing enough. You're not investing early enough. You're not investing often enough. You're not investing consistently. And if you are, and if you did contribute to a retirement plan, you left it at that old job. When you leave the job, you need to take your money with you, girl. Because why? If you don't want to be there, why you want your money there? I'm just saying. I mean, I'm asking for a friend. So if you don't want to be there, why should your money be there? Right. And so one of the things I like to do is share some quotes. So Forbes says that old 401k accounts often have higher fees and limited investment options compared to rolling it over into an IRA or rolling over into an annuity or another financial tool where your money can grow. Right. And I'll give you an example. I had a client this week. She left a government job to go to a private sector. Her government account had about $500,000 in it over time in different ways that she had invested it either in Roth or Roth being after tax and before tax contributions. So when I was able to take that money and we rolled it over into a couple different types of annuities because you can't combine the Roth money with before tax money, we were able to set it up to where when she gets ready to retire in about 20 years, that same $500,000 is going to be worth almost $2 million because of the way we structured it for her to be able to retire and move it from somewhere where she would not have as much access and control to make changes. She could be paying higher fees like Forbes told us, but making sure that she has it in a place where she can move it and change it as the market changes, when the interest rates go up, to make different changes so that she can have control of that money and she knows what's going to happen for her in the long run for her retirement. And so the thing is that we have to get ahead of the game. Warren Buffett has said, don't save what's left after spending, but spend what's left after saving. And so that's one of the things that we talk about, but that's one of the mistakes. And not getting in the game at all is a real big mistake, because as I've said before many different times, we as women, we outlive our men. It's just one of those statistics. 80% of women will outlive their husbands. And so what does that mean? We got to have the money set up and stacked up and in spaces and places so that we can still live a rich life or a good life without having to be dependent on the government, and without having to be dependent on family financially to take care of us. And even if you're only 30, that means you too. Even if you're 25 and you're working your first job, that means you too, because we're not exempt. Money is dependent on a couple different things: consistency and time. The more time you have and the more consistently you're able to put it into places and spaces that will grow for you, the better returns you will have. And so it's important for us to do that. It's important for us to start. And so even the Financial Planning Association says the earlier you start investing, the more you benefit from compound interest, which can exponentially increase your savings. How many of you remember the compound interest formula? If you remember from watching my videos, go ahead and put it in the chat. If you don't remember, I'm going to tell you anyway. But the compound interest formula is this, and it's simple. It's called the rule of 72. You take the number 72 and divide it by whatever interest rate you are getting or paying. And the answer to that simple math problem will tell you how long it will take that money to double. And the reason I say how much you're paying or receiving is because that compound interest formula works for debt also. And what we've done is we've gotten it mixed up. We're paying compound interest on debt and receiving simple interest on our savings and our investing. And we got to reverse that. We got to fix that injustice. We have to get us to where we're earning compound interest and paying simple interest. And those are some of the things that you'll learn in my community. If you go to joinsaran.com or you go over to Facebook, look for the group Sister Sense, Unblocking Your Path to Wealth. But we talk about those things because we have to get smarter about what we're doing, because either we're paying interest or earning interest. You let me know which one you prefer to do in the chat. So that's really the fifth mistake, is not doing it. We got to get those old 401ks over. If you need help, you can reach out to me and reach into my DMs on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, any of them, and we can set up a time where I can help you get those moved. We got to get to the point where we are consistently putting money away in various accounts, annuities, strategic life insurance, savings accounts, investment accounts, CDs, money markets. You want to be putting your money in so many places where it's going to benefit you now and in the future. So it's important to be able to do that. But I wanted to make sure I got that. That is all I had for just that reminder of what you should be doing, what we should be doing our finances. And that fifth mistake that women are making with their money, we don't want to keep making that mistake. We just don't, because none of us, I don't think anybody here watching the replay or live wants to raise their hand and say they want to be dependent on the government for anything, right? And to be clear, I don't mean Social Security, because that's not government dependency. That's your money, because you paid that money. Since you got your first job, your first summer job, right? My first summer job, I was working at Jones Beach in New York, right? So since I got my first summer job at 14, I was paying Social Security, and so was you. And so if you were paying Social Security back then, that's your money. So again, that's not the government assistance that I'm talking about. But we want to be smarter as we get money, because one of the things, as an aside, we want to make sure of is as we save, there's no hot picks out there that's going to make us rich. Sometimes people think it's one big thing that's going to get us over the hump, is going to make us this mega millionaire, all this. But really is a series of small things that we need to do that's going to bring us to either bring us further forward or take us backwards, right? And I'll end that point with this. This little story. I actually just saw this story on Facebook a little bit earlier today, but it was super cute. It was a story of a little mouse, and someone put him on top of a jar full of grain. And just think about a mason jar. He was sitting on top of a jar full of grain, and he's thinking, I made it. I got everything I need. He's just there, and he's just eating the grain, living the best life, right? A couple weeks go by, and he realized he's running out of grain. But not only has he run out of grain, he is at the bottom of the jar, and now he is trapped in the jar. He can't get out. Now he's put himself in a place to be dependent on someone else to feed him. He won't be able to choose the type of grain that he eats. He won't be able to have any options for whatever it is that he wants to do. And that's what we can sometimes do with our finances. Put ourselves in a place and get ourselves stuck in a jar where we don't have options. We can't make any moves. We feel stuck. We're dependent on someone else to tell us what to do, where to do it, and how to do it. And that can sometimes turn into frustration and anger, especially if we're at a job we feel stuck in. But we need that money because we've created this situation where we can't go, where we have to have the income, or we don't have a plan that will help us to be able to move forward to get us out of it, because we got there on top of the jar and thought we had hit, gold. We had struck gold, and this was it. This is going to be our big thing. When in reality, we really need to jump off of the top of the jar and go find somewhere where the grain was out free, where maybe you had to work a little harder to get it, but you wouldn't be trapped because you stayed there in your comfort zone and enjoyed so much. But with that, I just want to wrap that up. Again, don't make that mistake as a woman by not investing early enough, often enough. And please do not leave your money at that old job. If you didn't like it enough to stay there, then why are you leaving your money there? I'm just saying. But I want to introduce my friend. She's amazing. I mean, I cannot wait for y'all to meet her. She's like the bomb. Like, I want to be her real sister. That's how cool she is, right? So I want to introduce you to my friend, Coach Marilyn. Coach Marilyn is awesome. Her journey has guided her in through her unwavering faith as a profound belief in the potential of individuals and communities, and a deep commitment to making a difference in the world. She is a dedicated business coach specializing in empowering women entrepreneurs to conquer their financial fears, and imposter syndrome. Don't raise your hand if you got it. We're going to work with y'all today. She has a degree in communications and business management from Howard University and over 15 years experience. She has founded the Financial Freedom Workshop, and through her Financial Freedom Workshop, she has helped hundreds of individuals gain financial literacy, overcome debt, and achieve their dreams. Her mission is to guide others from financial fears to facts. I like that because chaos to calm. I love financial fears to facts. That's dope. But she empowers them to create impactful businesses and live their best lives. This summer, she's excited to launch the Focus Finance Academy, a one-day intensive aimed at creating personalized financial freedom roadmaps for people who are ready to face and overcome their financial fears once and for all. She lives in New York with her husband and attributes her fire for life to being Haitian and Luke chapter 1, verse 37. So I would like to present to some and introduce to others my friend Marilyn.
Hi,
Hello to the people.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you. And I really look forward to having a conversation because I know how much work you do in the local community and in Haiti. And so I love that about you and the changes that we're making. That's why I thought it was important to bring you here so that we can kind of have a live sister conversation about money because we're in the financial industry and we should be talking to each other so that we can elevate more people because we're all bringing something different.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of let the audience get to know you a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to do the Financial Freedom Workshop initially.
Debt inspired me. And again, thank you so much for having me on. I admire all the work that you're doing as well. So after I graduated from Howard, I was super excited to start my life. I had put in the time and I was ready, right? So I went to go live my life over the summer, went to a tennis match, and afterwards folks were playing and I was like, let me try. So I got on and I was zigging and I was sagging and I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I hear this pop. Next thing I know, I'm on the ground. People running over to me like, are you okay? And I'm like, what? I try to get up. I fall right back down. I realized when I looked down that I had ruptured my Achilles tendon. My foot was hanging off my ankle like that. I was freaking out. I went to the ER crying and in pain. And they kind of cobbled me together and said, when you get back to DC, you have to go to the ER immediately. When I rolled into that ER the next morning, the agony, you could cut it with a knife. I hobbled over to the information desk and I said, hi, I need help. She was like, your name? And she said, do you go to school here? And I was like, I just graduated. I was so proud of myself to say that. And she looked in her thing and she said, we can't treat you. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you're graduated. You're not in the system. We can't treat you. I said, what am I going to do? Like, I got student loans. I'm not going to be able to afford this medical bills. Like, what do I do? She sat up, looked past me and said, next.
Wow.
It was like I disappeared for her. I went back to my room and I thought, I'm going to be crippled for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be able to walk, pay these bills. I just saw everything go downhill. And I realized in that moment too, nobody'd ever taught me how to budget or manage money. I was just getting ready to get out and make money. And it was that in that moment that I was like, I got to figure this out. So I had time on my hands. And I remember my friend calling me and saying, you okay? And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She's like, come on, I'm taking you back in. Try again. We went back there and it was like they had the demon shift left and the angel shift came on. And the woman at the front desk helped me and I was able to get the surgery and move on. But that didn't mean the bills didn't come, the credit cards, everything else, student loans. Y'all know Sally Mae, don't you? Okay. So when I finally figured out how to organize my funds, organize my bills, face my fears, believe that there was more to life than just making money, that is how the Financial Freedom Workshop got started. Because once I put the principles that I learned in place, I was debt-free in 6 months.
Wow. I love that. I love that. So first I want to go back to the demon shift left and the angel shift came.
That's true.
We're not going to just pass over that.
I am not exaggerating. I walked back up again and I asked, and she was like, oh, well, you only recently graduated, so you're still covered 30 days after.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. So I prayed for her and let that go. But there's a saying that goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Mm-hmm.
This is a proverb you must heed, try again. If I had stayed in that bed, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
That would have put me on a whole different path.
Yeah. Well, so, and it really is the difference between the victim mentality and the victor mentality, because stuff still happens to the person that's a victor. Life doesn't stop lifing for them, but they keep going. And so I love that. And then I love this one thing. I wanna highlight this because you said at some point that you realized you were in college at Howard University and you were learning how to make money, but you weren't really learning how to manage money, keep money, and I'm expanding, invest money. But you were learning how to get income. But and I often tell people the best way to get money, to have money, is to keep the money you already earn. It's not about some quick investment, right? And so I love that you took that challenge and turned it around for yourself. So
I
let
agree.
me I like to hear about people, personally, because I want people to be able to, that was a very, very relatable story. And I know so many people have had things that have created challenges. But tell me, what are like some of the top three things you believe about finance that you think will help people who are tuning in?
I think first, it's to know what money is for. I
Mhm.
think that most of us are not trained to understand that, right? So once I started the Financial Freedom Workshop, I was really helping a friend who noticed that I had gotten debt free and she asked me to help her. And out of that, I made binders because I'm that guy to do those things. So I created a whole curriculum for her. But it's important that people understand money is, you're supposed to make money, save money, invest money, give money, spend money. Notice the last one was spend,
Yeah.
not the first. And just like you said, we are, how do you say, trained to be consumers. So when we graduate, we're like, I'm gonna buy that car, buy these clothes, I'm gonna do all these things. That's not going to help you, right? Make money, save money, invest money, give money, spend money. So your mindset around money for me is very important. The second one I would say is understanding money, meaning all of the education that you can get to empower yourself. It's a lifelong learning. You never get to the point where you've learned everything there is to know about money,
Mhm.
right? So any opportunity you get to go to a webinar, to read a book, to listen to the Warren Buffetts of the world, you should take it because they can still impart wisdom. And the third is community. When I chose to start the Financial Freedom Workshop, the thing that I saw that was the most important was accountability. Folks had accountability partners that they could work with. Folks had a community, and I heard you say that earlier, where you can learn, where you can ask questions. When you make a change in your life, you need to be in a community that's going to encourage you. So those three for me are the most important.
I love that. The community is big for me these days. And so I'm in a lot of different communities for various reasons. And so that's why I know how important it is in leveraging what we do. And I love the say the first five again. You said make money,
Make money, right?
mhm,
Save money,
save money.
invest money, give money, and spend money, right?
And that to me is the master key. And it goes with the quote that I gave earlier about Warren Buffett, who clearly said save your money, don't save after what's left spending, but spend what's left after saving.
Correct. But see,
And
that's a mindset.
mhm. But I think too, when you think about mindset, it's something that I know that a lot of people aren't really thinking about and talking about, is some of the mindset that we have from uh that we have towards money are things that we learned as children, either actively or passively. And so we may not have understood what we were learning, right? And I always give this example, and this is not bad, it just is, right? Many of us, we grew up in a household where they did not talk about money, but what they did was they showed us what to do with it. They showed us that we got a good job or we got a decent job doing something that earned money. We paid our bills, we took care of our family, and we went back to work. If
Right.
you were lucky, they showed you how to retire, right? They were able to have enough money to retire. But those are the things that we saw, so we weren't having the dinner table conversations, but we were watching, we were emulating what we saw. And then some of us, we saw that, but then we saw families spending a lot of money on luxury things or things that they consider to be nice or this or that. And if we were aware enough, we may have seen that our families were in debt. And even unfortunately, some people may have been in a situation where they lived in a household where maybe they lost a household because someone lost a job, or the lights were off, or the water was off, or whatever, or all those things, those stories that we hear and see about financing. So we learn to be in a different place. So some people may still be at 40 and 50, still living in survival mode and
Correct.
not even realize it, because it's what they've always done and who they've always been and what they always saw. And so that's why I feel like these conversations are important, because we have to elevate ourselves from that space by saying, and sometimes it's more about having a conversation with yourself, saying, I am not them, this is not then, and this is where I am right now. This is
Well,
what we're going to do.
no, I agree.
So,
I agree. I had a client actually. Um, Part of the work that I do is helping people to face their financial fears.
mm-hmm.
And it's often trauma as well, right? It is also learning how to heal from that and get a positive relationship with your finances, a healthy one. Because most of us, if we're being honest, our relationship with money has been unhealthy. I had a client who was in the workshop who said that the only time he remembered bills being paid was when things got cut off. So when the lights got cut off, that is when the light man came to turn on the lights, and his mom was very upset. So, and then begrudgingly would pay to get the lights turned back on. So imagine, you're a kid and this is repeated in front of you. So in your mind, bills are bad. Paying them, you don't want to do that, and you you have an adversarial relationship with the utilities, right? So he came into the class. He was a stockbroker making six figures, but could never keep money in his pocket. And one of the things that I asked him to do was, one, keep track of a penny or more for 30 days. He did that. The second was to create the list of his bills and then when he paid them. And when he showed that is when he had the breakthrough, because he realized he was either late or he had to get things turned back on, his phone, etc. And that is when we had the conversation. And that is what he started to unlearn, how to change how he felt about paying his bills, and that the money that he was making was the good thing, and that allowed him to pay these bills. And then he got to a point where he put everything on a credit card, set it and forget it. And his bills got paid regularly, on time, early. His credit score increased by like 200, and his whole mind shift changed about how he viewed money. It didn't make his chest tight anymore. He didn't think that he had no choice, that what was passed down to him, that he had to also have that same relationship. It's like he broke that. And he felt, I remember him saying that he was going to be the last one who acted this way, that whether it was his kids or his friends, that he was going to pass down this new knowledge. And that's what I believe we all must do. Once we get the knowledge, pass it down.
Yeah, I love that story because it had so much in it, right? It's so much meat, where he was able to realize, oh my God, how are you making six figures and you don't have the good credit score or the money saved? Because we're just repeating the behaviors unconsciously, right? Napoleon Hill calls that the hypnotic rhythm. He coined that in his book Outwitting the Devil, and he talks about how we pick these things up in childhood and don't realize it because we've done it so much so often, we could just do it in our sleep. And so a really simple example of it is, most people, and I say most because everybody's not the same, but most people, when you get up in the morning, you're going to take a shower, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to wash your face. Maybe not in that order. Or maybe you brush your teeth first, you wash your face, you get in the shower. Or you go to the bathroom, things that you're just going to do it automatically. It's a hypnotic rhythm, but it's not until somebody wakes you up that you're like, wait, I don't have to do it that way. Maybe I'll get up, get dressed, go for a run, then come back, brush my teeth, wash my face, and take a shower. And so that hypnotic rhythm applies to what we do with our money as well, because we are creating patterns, or we've created patterns that we've seen or heard or done unconsciously and found ourselves back in that space.
100%. 100%.
So,
People often say, you know, that if they had more money, something would change. And I 100% disagree with that, right? If you had bad habits with $100, you're going to have bad habits with $1,000. You're going to have bad habits with $1 million. The money won't fix that because it's a behavior issue, right? So it's number one. The other is that when people will say that when I get $1 million, I'm going to manage it. And I'm like, well, if you can't be a hundredaire and a thousandaire, what makes you think you're going to be a good millionaire? You're just going to take those same bad habits of not managing your money. You're just not going to manage $1,000 and then not manage $1 million, right? Because at the end of the day, for myself, I don't want to make more money to buy more things. I want to make more money to do more things, to make more impact. And when you wrap your head around that, you realize that the Bible says, who much is given, much is required, and who's faithful in a little bit will be faithful in a lot. So you have to start practicing with that $100, that $1,000, so that once you get to the 500,000 and the million, it's no problem, because it's the same rhythm that you're using in order to manage those funds. So I think that it's important that folks understand that more money is not going to fix the problem. Changing your behavior is what's going to fix the problem.
I can't agree with you more, because the behavior gets us every single time. And if we are not careful, that same behavior will change us. And the perfect example is this: is the person who wins the lotto, right? Their mindset never changed towards money. Their behavior never changed. They never learned to understand it. And you look up, and a year later, they got nothing. They haven't done anything. They haven't learned any strategies. Or the person who gets the big contract for something, and there's no money manager or no one to teach them what to do, because they haven't, they just don't have the information. And even the new college grad, or maybe you're the first college grad to come out of your family, you're making a decent salary, but you never really learned about money. And so you don't know what to do with all the excess money. And so what they end up doing, and there's a whole, I can't find the article, but I have to go back. There's a few articles that talk about the one who made it out, and then they're expected to save and take care of the family. And they continuously, but they stay poor, because they never find the place to where they've accumulated the funds to really take care of themselves, and literally put themselves back in survival mode, because they're taking care of everyone else. But I want to shift the questions kind of back to you. And I want to ask you this. So what do you feel like some of the strategies people can take to overcome their fear around money? And what are some practical tips or some advice to help them to kind of strategize, to kind of deal with the fears? Because I won't put an S on it, because it's usually not just one. Some of the fears as they come about.
I would say first, you talked about imposter syndrome earlier. When we believe that we're supposed to pretend like we know everything about money and we can't ask anyone about it, it is a circle that you can't break. It's like a cycle, right? I think the first thing is to give yourself grace, that everybody is not a CFO. Everybody is not an accountant. Everybody is not good with money. It's not just you, right? So I think that's the first thing to do, is just give yourself grace and mercy, that I don't know everything. My perfectionism, let me tear that down. And I don't know a lot about money, and I need to learn it. And I'm going to address that. And again, that could be getting a coach. That could be reading a book about money. That could be taking a class, whatever it is that you need to do to move the needle forward for you. The second is once you start doing that, I promise you'll be like, oh my gosh, I need a budget. You do, because that's going to keep the guardrails on, so that you don't go careening off the cliff. It's like when they say, never go to the grocery store hungry, right? You go to the grocery store with a list of the 5 things you need to get. If you go through the grocery store hungry, you're just going to buy random things. And then you get home and you're still hungry because you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to make with marshmallows and fish. Not going to work out, right? So that's important. And then it's getting into, again, a community, right? So one of the things that I teach in the workshop is the keeping your receipts for 30 days. That's going to help you to see exactly where you're spending your money. Don't walk around with just cash in your hand, because trust me, as soon as you walk out the door, there's 1,000 places that you can spend it, right? Keeping track of it will then help to empower you to control it, right? So once you face the fact that you don't know everything about money and you're going to start to learn as much as you can, it takes the air out of the balloon. The second is to start to keep track of your money, whether that's budgeting. There's 1,000 apps out there, so you can find the one that works for you. In class, we go old school. We got a spreadsheet because we want to help people track. Then it's important to reward yourself. As you're seeing that, whether that is that you go get your nails done or get your, go buy yourself something nice or take a day staycation or a daycation, do something good for yourself, because otherwise it becomes a beast of burden and a lot of labor. You want it to be that I did this and I will reward myself.
Sorry, I had myself on mute. I love that. I love that. Look, I had to write down my notes. I got my notebook. So, because again, I'm in finance as well, but I always go anywhere with a pen and pencil because I know that there's something I can learn or I can be reminded of to help me and to help my community. And so it's important. So I love that you said keep them receipts for 30 days. And I'm going to add, look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Exactly.
Look at them and keep control of the budget and reward yourself. And I love the old school spreadsheet. I'm totally old school with my spreadsheet. I literally have a spreadsheet back to 1998 of my budget, believe it or not. And it wasn't always good on them spreadsheets, but it does exist. They do exist. But the thing is that, you know, and even in being someone who keeps a budget, I know that there are times that when I had larger sums of money and I didn't track as closely. And then when I went to look back to see how I spent it, I was like, WTF was you doing at Chick-fil-A for $500? What was you doing for, you know, over these months? And I'll share this. This is actually something I'm doing right now. I'm doing this right now with one of my coaches because I'm doing some things to level up on the investing side for things that I want to do. And so he challenged us. He said, go pull all your bank statements and your credit card statements and pull it into a CSV file and look and see where you spent your money the last 3 months. And even as someone who does finances, and I help people with finances all the time, and I help them go through and do it, I looked at it and I was like, this is, you know, better. And so I'm able to bring myself back in because I'm human, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you were a little loosey-goosey here. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to do that so much. You want to do 50% less than that. You want to change what you're doing. You know, one of the things I know is I was spending a lot more money on food. But that's because I was eating out, because I've been traveling, I've been busy. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not traveling for the next couple of months. I can definitely streamline that back to where it needs to be. But the other thing is, and I'm a fan of this, I like to renegotiate every 6 months with anybody that I pay anything to see if I can get a better rate. Why not? All they could do is tell me no. So essentially, last week I lowered my Verizon cell phone bill, my Verizon home phone service, my car insurance, my umbrella insurance, my homeowner's insurance. I lowered it all. I mean, it wasn't by much, but I called and said, "Hey, what are the deals? What can I do differently? I've been a long time customer. Can you give me a better rate? How can I get additional money off?" And the intent wasn't so I could have more money to spend on stuff. The intent was to have more money go towards my investment account, because it's about making babies with the money. And so in order for the babies to be born, the babies got to have parents. They got to have dollar bill parents, right? And it sounds silly, but it really is true. It's one of those things that if our money is going to grow, or we got to have a seed. It's kind of like, seed time and harvest time. They talk about that, and every spiritual book or religious book there is, they talk about a seed time and a harvest time, no matter what they call it. But the reality is that seed, right? That one seed can grow a whole forest, or a tree
Absolutely.
that bears hundreds and hundreds of fruit. And so the important part is the seed, which is why we talk so much about keep the money you already earned, keeping the money you already earned.
I love
So
what you said at the beginning. You said, even though I'm in the financial industry and teaching people, I myself am learning. I myself have a coach. I think that's very important, because I think folks who also suffer from imposter syndrome think that the person who's helping them has arrived somewhere, right? And it's not true. I just want to dispel that right now. Even though I became debt free once, I took myself shopping right after as my gift. Soon I got back into debt. And what I learned from that is, it's not getting debt free is not the goal. Staying debt free is the goal. And I had to have coaches and, again, read books, stay in it in order to learn. There's no arriving. Whoever is helping you also had to go through something to get there. And you're there to learn about that, about what are the tools that they use to get to where they're going. And I totally agree with you on what you said about seed form. In one apple is an apple orchard. And if we looked at that, we would value that apple a whole lot more if we knew that. Number one. Number two, when you plant something, you don't walk away. You have to tend to that garden. When we see gardens in the springtime, folks were working on that in the fall. They were tilling the land there to make sure that come springtime, all of the work that they put in, all of the making sure the little muskrats and all those other things stayed out, it was because they knew in the springtime, if they did all of that work, that in the spring, the bloom would come. So you're walking down the street and you're like, oh, my neighbor's yard is so beautiful, but you didn't see all of the work that was put in, right? And I just feel that you said this earlier in your affirmation. I just want to repeat it. I know it's the short version, but this is what I call it. You said, I am committed to take action today. You can do one thing today. One thing today, listening to this broadcast. You can do one thing today to move yourself forward in your finances. And that could just be forgiving yourself for any financial mistakes you've made, releasing yourself from perfectionism, releasing yourself from feeling like you're an imposter in your finances. All of these things will help you to move forward. Start keeping your receipts for 30 days, for 1 day, for 1 week. That's huge. Looking at them, seeing where you're spending your money. All of these things, these are little baby steps that will move you towards financial empowerment for yourself and ultimately financial freedom, which could mean anything, because different people have different thoughts of what financial freedom means. For me, it's to be able to move about the cabin without worrying about, can I buy this, or how's that going to impact this? You want to get to a point where you're like, any move that you make, you don't necessarily have to think about money all the time.
yeah,
Even as a financial planner and a person who helps people with their finances, I don't want to sit around and think about money all day. I know you don't. You're like, no.
no. And I think that's awesome, because that sounds like a challenge that we can do. Let's come back next week. Let's, for the next 7 days, just write down everything that you're spending. Use the Notes app in your phone. It doesn't matter if you have Google or Apple. They all got a Notes app. Use the Notes app. Just write it down and don't judge it. I think that's the most important part. And I have that conversation with my clients all the time. Just send me the data. Stop judging it. Stop beating yourself up. Stop thinking you got to clean it up before you get here. I think that's like another mistake that we make with our finances. Essentially, it's kind of like the person who gets a cleaning lady and you clean the house before they get there. Like, what are you paying for? You know, So you can't don't clean your finances up before you come to see me. Then what I'm gonna do? What's my job? And so I love that. But I want to get to the workshop that you have coming up. We've been having a really great conversation. You're gonna have to come back. But
Yay.
I really want to get to. I want everyone to hear about the Focus Finance Academy and what people can expect coming up. You said it's going to be sometime this summer, so I'm assuming July or August. I'm gonna pencil in because I'm try to crash too. But I want people to hear about the Focus Finance Academy. And if you have a link, drop it in the chat when you get a chance, or send it to me, and I'll make sure that I post it. But tell everyone about the Focus Finances Academy 1-day intensive that's coming up.
So you are getting this firsthand. I have not said this out loud anywhere. So this is how I feel about you, Saran. So I have brought together all of this knowledge and all of the folks to launch the Focus Finances Academy. And what it will be is a 1-day intensive, basically a full day, right? Like 10 to 4. And folks are coming in, bring all of your issues, bring all of your trauma, bring all of the receipts, everything else. We're going in, right? In real time. And what you're going to walk away with is your personal financial freedom roadmap of how you get from where you are to where it is that you want to go. And even more important than that, you're going to find out, how did I get here? How did I get in this situation? Because you need to address that before you can create the plan of where you're going. And then afterwards, folks are actually able to join the community. Because once you start seeing that, you'll see that being by yourself and working on it on your own, not going to be enough. You need the encouragement. You need the community. And within the community is going to be not just being with me and going through Q&A and engaging in that. And so whatever it is that you need, a lot of the folks that are in my community are small business owners as well. It's also going to be able to have access to legal folks, to accountant folks, nutrition folks. What I didn't share is that I'm a certified Pilates instructor. So in our community, we will also be doing meditative breathing, give you meditations for your finances to help you to really change how you feel about your finances, which will change how you feel about you and how you feel about how you enter the world as it relates to your finances. It's time for us to be free. So just follow me on Focus Fire Life on IG. And when the date is dropped, you will be the first to know. And I will also share it with you too, Saran, so that you can tell everyone. But I'm so excited to help as many people as possible get on the road to financial freedom. You're muted.
That is exciting, and I'm definitely going to crash because that's what I do.
Oh, you're welcome.
For my little email registration, I'm coming through the building because I want to support you, and I love the information and the transformation that we're able to get, because I'm about transformation too. You know, here, that's what we do. We're taking from chaos to calm because we just don't have what we need, and finding the space and place. And it's not just the space and place, finding the safe space and place somewhere you feel safe. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because there are people who are watching who are like, I know Saran 3,000 years. I don't want to talk to her about my money because we cool. I don't want her to think when we out having happy hour, she thinking you're not supposed to be spending that money because I just did your budget. But I want you to have access. I want everybody to be helped so that there's no limitations, right? And I'm sure there are people that known you 1,000 years that are probably like, oh, I mean, I know she's nice and all, but I don't want to share all my finances. And it's not anything negative. And that's why we have a network of women who do what we do to be able to help the community. So you already kind of dropped it, but I want you to be very specific. I want you to tell people how to connect with you. What's the best way, to contact you? Is it through DM? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Where can people find you more often than not?
The best way is through Instagram, which is @FocusFireLife. And you can DM me there for questions, to work with me, etc. And if you're old school and you want to do email, I check it regularly. That's focusfirelife@gmail.com. And I will get back to you within 24 hours. And I promise you that if we connect, you will leave different than when you came in.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So hang back for a minute. I'm going to wrap us up, but you hang out, okay?
I'll do that.
So,
Thank you so much.
and thank you. We're going to come back because we're going to dig deep into some other topics. So I want us to really help people because we got to give. And even in your example, we're giving, right? And we always think that giving has to be financial, but when you think about the talents that God talks about, and it's not just money. So if we're giving of our talents, it's our time, our treasure, our talent, our ability is our gift, the things that we can do, our love, our support. Sometimes our giving can just be a hug. And so we have to be very clear that giving is very expansive, and it's not just always about giving a dollar, but sometimes it's giving education so that someone can
Yes.
get their own dollar. So let me wrap up and we are going to close out. So, listen, this has been another episode of Going from Chaos to Calm with Your Finances, Unblocking Your Path to Wealth. I'm your girl, Saran, here to help you find your way from where you are to where you want to be. Going from can't handle any obstacles sent to being in a place of calm, control, abundance creation, legacy creation, and money mastery. Today, we had the pleasure of being with Coach Mario Lynn, who's straight out of New York, who helped us to understand how we can go from our fears to facts with our finances in order to find ourselves in the place we want to be, not where we don't want to be. So let's be clear. We are here every Monday at 8:30 p.m. sharp. I'll be back next week, and I think I got a special guest for next week too. So you don't want to miss it. And so, with that, we love you. We'll see you back here at the same time next week. Be sure to like, be sure to share this video, and be sure to subscribe. So, it's your girl Saran. Peace, love, and light. Let's get your money right.